No, and then it went to,
Well, it went, didn't even go to municipal services first. It went to
no, it went to planning and zoning.
planning and zoning first.
Because they had to revisit it because it was not an allowable use.
I'm going to convene the meeting for September 7th, 2021. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have the roll, please.
Belzak,
Here.
Cliffstick,
Here.
Gustafson, Kenny,
Here.
Shower,
Here.
Sullivan,
Here.
Vaughn,
Here.
6 present and 1 absent.
We have a quorum. Takes us to questions and comments and announcements of a general nature. These are comments that a resident might want to bring forward that have nothing to do with our agenda tonight, or it could be with something that's on our agenda tonight. So at this time, I will give 3 minutes to anyone who wants to address the council on any issue. Yes, sir, please come forward.
My name's Ken Vaselski, and I'd like to address the retention pond problems at Waterfall Glen and the condos. Now, I'm the only townhouse on the retention pond by the condos and the hotel. That's where all the water runs towards us, and then goes out along the forest preserve. So there's 4 units. All 4 units have basements. Now, nobody seems to be concerned about the water table in our basements. 2 of the basements are finished. Twice this year we've had rain of 4 inches, and it brought the water up to our trees on the townhouses. My sump pump pit sounds like I have a water faucet on. The water table is elevated as the pond goes up. Takes 2 to 3 days for the water to go down. I check the pond drain before and sometimes during the storm. I keep it clean and it keeps draining. I don't think we have room for another building to be draining water into our pond. It's not really our pond, my pond, but to the hotel pond and the condo pond. And the townhouse association's really not too worried about us. We're sort of by ourselves. When the condos don't have much to say, the houses don't have much to say. I hope when this new building that's going up, I hope we aren't relying on a 20-year-old survey. I think we could have a survey checking out the water retention, and maybe that water retention is full. And I have one other question I'd like to know. Who's going to do my job of cleaning that sewer when I can't pull that sewer couple anymore? The condos don't really want it or accept it, and the townhouses don't really want to accept it. Nobody says for sure whose sewer it belongs. Who has responsibility for that sewer? And then the next question I have, that line runs all the way down the forest preserve to the bike path. who's in charge of that, the rest of the sewers? I would like to find out who really has authority on that sewer.
Sir, my question is, you mentioned that the water comes up to your trees.
Yes,
Have you ever had water in your basement?
not yet. I've been doing it, I've been living there for 20 years.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that you haven't had water in your basement.
That
With
the
regard,
pond, may I say, the pond is supposed to be a holding pond.
correct.
The sewer has a plug in it, a reducer. That little hole sucks up a lot of leaves and stuff and is constantly getting plugged. And I have to go there with a rake and clean it up.
You know, you're in a situation that so many of us are in, and that is, we've taken the personal responsibility of cleaning out sewers in front of our homes. I've done that with leaves from mine. I know a lot of other people do the same thing, and believe me, I appreciate the fact that you do what you do in terms of cleaning that out. You've helped yourself, and you probably have helped others. I guess my question would be, is there no homeowners association responsibility for the situation you have?
I don't know who would, if, I've had a couple people from the condos help at times. But if I go on vacation and somebody else goes on vacation from the condo, there's nobody to really accept responsibility for cleaning that sewer up if it rains.
Sir, may I ask a question? Who plows the snow for you in the wintertime?
The landscaper,
The landscaping company does that?
yeah.
Okay.
Dan?
Mr. Mayor, since this is such an important issue in question, we did have a meeting with the president, Dorothy, with the condo association. The restrictor that you have in place was exactly what I was referring to earlier. It's an older type of restrictor system since they've been modified, and we, the city, through the developer, will be replacing that restrictor with a different type, where basically, in a nutshell, it's a riser pipe, and there's an inlet on the bottom with holes all around it, so it's almost a type of Venturi effect where water is constantly cleaning that. So that's gonna be addressed, just for information. I felt that was something very important, so you can go on vacation, not have to worry about anything at all. And we just found this out recently through a meeting we had with the association, the townhome representative, as well as the condo representatives. So we are addressing that for you.
And has either one assumed responsibility for that?
Responsibility on maintenance falls back to the association. The association eventually, or ultimately, the homeowners. Okay, and again, we went through what the condos, what the townhomes should be looking at. So I would suggest that you would maybe contact your homeowners association representatives. 'Cause we had a very detailed meeting in respect to the flow routes, the responsibilities, potential maintenance issues, and or preventive maintenance programs.
So, how much water can you hold in that pond? That pond's gonna have to drain faster.
I tell you what,
We're
let
gonna
me
be
give you my,
pumping water in from the new building that's going up.
I can't give you those answers off the top of my head. If you would like to, give me a call tomorrow. We can, you can come into the city hall, we'll show you the plans, and we'll go over all the items we went over with the association representatives,
I would appreciate that.
okay?
Mary?
Can I ask a question? So you're talking about the association being responsible for the condominium building that currently exists and the townhome community. Will then the management company for the Darien Heights development also be a third party to this?
Correct.
Okay, so you got 3 different groups responsible for managing this retention pond.
There's 3 separate detention facilities. One is for the development itself.
Yep.
The second one is for the condos. And the third one is for the townhomes.
Okay.
So they all have assigned responsibility through the plats.
Okay. And who polices this? Who like makes sure that they're doing their due diligence?
Either A resident, like this gentleman himself, will give us a call and say, the pond's not draining, something's going on. In that case, we'll go out there and take a look at it, determine the cause. We'll even go and attempt to fix it, or, when I say fix it within reason, and then we'll call the association or the representative for the homeowners association and let them know that they are in violation of the stormwater ordinance, in which case they're not currently maintaining it. Again, we've been in situations where we've pumped out detention facilities because, let's face it, residents in many cases don't know what to do, and those are homeowners associations that aren't active. So, we have means and ways to find out who the property belongs to, who is the responsible party, and what needs to be done.
Thank you.
Let me go grab a business card, and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Anyone else? Or if you want to wait till the item, is this regarding the apartments? Do you want to wait till we hit that item, or would you? Okay, thank you. All right, that would take us to approval of the minutes for August 16th, 2021. Motion to approve. Alderman Vaughn, seconded by Alderman Kenny. Any questions or comments regarding the minutes? If none, the roll.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
The minutes have been approved. It takes us to receiving of communications. Do any of the aldermen have communications from residents that they'd like to share? Alderman Kenny, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, good evening. I've got a communication from Thomas Hines, 1500 block of Canterbury Courts, in regarding to the garbage contract that's sitting out. He wants the city of Darien to continue on with the sticker program.
Anyone else? Alderman Klustek.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I received communication from Drew Kelly with concerns of the noise from Q-Bar, and just wanted me to reach out if any other person would be interested at looking at the ordinance, any adjustments, any changes that they feel that could be tuned or addressed going forward. So I'd be willing for any committee to look at it. If there's no changes needed, then there's no changes needed, and that's fair enough. But I think it's just fair for residents to say we did our due diligently and just looked at it. So,
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other alderman? If none, that takes us to the mayor's report. The first item on our mayor's report is consideration of a motion to advise and consent the appointment of Heather Conroy to the Environmental Committee. Motion to approve. Alderwoman Sullivan, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Any questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Clistic,
abstain.
Kenny,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 abstention, 1 absent.
Heather, you want to come forward?
Hello.
Up here, Heather.
I'm going to swear you in, so please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Heather Conroy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Environmental Committee
Environmental Committee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Could you please sign this even though the name is there? You can sign underneath. It's okay. service. Thank
Heather,
you.
can I get you to turn around and just take a picture and make it Mayor Joe and great. Thank you, hon.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
Heather. Heather has a real deep concern for environmental needs. I know her through Rotary, I know her through the Women's Club, and I think she's going to be an excellent, excellent person on our environmental committee. Our next item is a mayoral proclamation. As most of you know, this coming weekend, Saturday the 11th, is the 20th commemoration of the 9/11 incident. Whereas the city of Darien and its residents join with our fellow Americans across the nation in honoring and remembering those who lost their lives in the horrific terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, and whereas we continue to offer support to the families and friends who lost loved ones in the devastating events of this day, and especially our firefighters, police, and first responders who continue to step forward and serve our communities with dedication and vigilance. And whereas we commend the firefighters, police, and first responders who courageously risk their lives to rescue those in need, as well as the ordinary citizens and volunteers who selflessly gave their lives to aid their friends and co-workers who were injured or trapped in the Twin Towers and Pentagon. And whereas the events of September 11, 2001 tested the strength and resolve of our country, they also reminded us of the values set out by our forefathers who saw a vision for the United States that we would live and be free of tyrannical rule. And whereas today we are even more determined than ever that we will not give in to terrorism and threats to the safety and security of the United States. And whereas the United States is unified in our purpose to prevent further tragedies like those experienced on September 11th, 2001, and it is right to honor the men and women of our armed forces who had fought tirelessly to give us safe and keep us safe from further attacks on U.S. soil. And whereas today we remember the lives that were lost, honor the heroic actions taken by our first responders, and thank the members of our military for their continued service and sacrifice. And whereas September 11th will never and should never be just another day in the hearts and minds of all people of the United States. Now therefore I, Joseph A. Marquez, Mayor of the City of Darien, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2021 as Darien Remembers 9/11 Month in the City of Darien, and call upon our residents to take time during this month to remember those who have lost their lives in this tragedy and to pay tribute to the men and women who make up our first responders, giving thanks for the sacrifices they make daily to keep our city safe. And I'd just like to remind people that this entire month, as I stated here, we're dedicating it to not just those who lost their lives in 9/11, but those who lost their lives as a result of 9/11, as well as those who continue to serve us. As many of you might know, this coming Friday, we will be honoring 7 individuals who lost their lives from Darien, Connecticut, which is our sister city, and that will take place Friday at 1 o'clock in the Darien Community Park. Saturday morning, we will have our first responders parade. This is a very solemn parade. This is not a bells and whistles and throwing candy to the children. This is a very solemn parade where hopefully our thoughts will be with those first responders who continue to serve us. Saturday afternoon at noon, we will have a community picnic at the community park. We will have several speeches as well as artwork by our students from our local school. Our Historical Society and our Scouts will also be there, and the Darien Lions Club will be providing food for those who wish to have something to eat. Sunday morning we will have our Darien Dash, starting at the Darien Swim and Rec Club and also ending at the Darien Swim and Rec Club. And Sunday afternoon at Carriage Greens Country Club, we will have a concert starting at 2 o'clock. We'll have the Cass Junior High Band that will be playing first. We'll have an interlude of just music, and then at 3 o'clock, the 144th Army Band, which is made up of National Guardsmen throughout the state of Illinois. They will be entertaining us from 3 to 4 p.m. And we'll also have a food truck there for those who want to have food. On Friday, September 17th, Hinsdale South plays Hinsdale Central at Hinsdale South, and we will have a commemorative ceremony that evening at that football game. So these are the events of that month, and you also might notice that we will be putting up banners on our light posts saying the city of Darien remembers 9/11. And I really hope this is an educational experience. Those of us who were alive back then, I'm sure we will never forget that day. My goal as a former educator is to make sure that young people who were too young or weren't even born yet can walk away from this with a better awareness of what occurred that day and why we are the country that we are today. So it's my hope that this becomes an educational experience for all of us. And with that, I'll ask for the city clerk's report. Joanne?
No report this evening, thank you.
The city administrator's report?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item during the workshop. I just wanted to clarify that. I was able to look at the records here, or the minutes. Alderman, let's see here. I think it was on February, it didn't come through here, but it was on February 16th, Alderman Gustafson asked if the city council would look at the Steak and Shake site, and that was on the 16th. He asked if that could be done at the next meeting. So that was put on the agenda for a council to vote at the next meeting. There was no, he didn't bring it up and then voted the same night like you thought, Tom. He
Okay.
brought it up, the city council, then at the subsequent meeting, had the opportunity to vote on the issue. Just wanted to
Gotcha.
clarify.
But so he
things.
just asked just for if anyone was interested in looking at that further. So
Looking at something further, so then, since he couldn't do it that night, it was put off to a following meeting for the
Gotcha.
council to vote, yes.
So for me, it'd be properly to ask if anyone would be interested in looking at the noise ordinance.
You c-
So it sounds like no one else is interested. So no,
Just,
fair enough.
just to clarify what was said before, that's all.
Okay, yeah. If anyone interested in looking at the noise ordinance in the future,
Lester?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, since we've had so many recent issues with the noise, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to look at it. I mean, we don't have to change it, but it wouldn't hurt to look at it to see if we need to amend it. But, yeah.
I mean,
I'm not-
you heard what I had to say before, and I'm not saying this in defense of the current code. I'm not. And I'm not saying in deference to Alderman Klistak or his concern. What I'm saying is anytime you grapple with an issue like this, you have to be extremely careful that you don't legislate yourself into a position where you start losing more than you gain by it, okay? If this council does decide that they want to explore it, that's fine with me. That is your call. But at the same time, I want you to be reminded that, and Alderman Schauer, if he was, I wish he was here, I know he's on the phone. We spent a year on the SUVs and the snowmobiles in the driveway because of all the information we took in from people. And in the end, there were people that still weren't totally happy with that, although I think we made the best decision. Ted, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, Joe. Just to piggyback off that, I'm sorry if I sound pretty bad, but the situation, and you're 100% correct. When it came to the situation with the RVs, we tried to make sure we tried to make everybody happy and do what we could. And in the end, we probably ended up making more people unhappy. No matter what you change, you're going to have a group that's going to say this is wrong. No matter what you're going to make one group happy, you're going to make another group not happy. So it's one of those situations that I understand where Alderman Klistak is coming from, and I can appreciate it, but you're just going to have that situation, same situation to happen with this one. At least that's what I feel. So.
Brian?
Mayor, just one, I think the issue with the sound ordinance is probably the city council getting a better understanding of what we have now. I think that, that's really a first step for the city council to say, staff, go review it and change it. I would like some direction or some idea of maybe, what the council's looking at. But I think at this point, it's educating the council on what our noise ordinances are, as Alderwoman Sullivan mentioned, but we actually have 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, in different parts of the code. And I think Mary or Alderwoman Sullivan, I think, had a copy because there was a request for the copy. and she got that. But certainly, for the city council to understand what we have is good. However, the city council wants us to get that information out, we can do that. Then I think once you see that, you could decide if this summer at these complaints on queue are something worth changing the ordinance, or you'll have a better idea because you've educated yourselves. That's all.
Alderman Kenny?
I think the one unfortunate thing that has happened to this council is that we've lost the one tool in our toolbox is goal setting. Due to COVID, we've not been able to have a true goal setting session. So in the past, these issues would come up, and we would at September, Brian would send out a letter. Hey, what are the things you would like to talk about at goal setting in October? And we would work these things out. I think that if we don't go back to some type of goal setting in the future, and we wait for whatever the new hot button is that gets reported in, in the patch, no due respect to Dave sitting in our audience tonight, or something that comes up on Nextdoor or Facebook, whatever the case may be, we're going to start legislating based on what we're seeing on social media. And I think that's unfortunate. And I'm hoping that we can get back to goal setting, and we can take these items on a yearly basis and assess them before we run staff, to cost dollars to our staff to check these things out. That's just my opinion.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. We have been planning to have a goal-setting session in late October, early November. It's our intention. I already have a few ideas I'd like to see on that. We were just talking with Alderwoman Sullivan tonight at her committee with Alderman Vaughn that we will send something out with regard to possible dates. We'll let you guys pick the dates that are most
I
convenient.
anticipated it, but I'm just
I know, but
alluding to what I think one of our issues here is why we're starting to see different things come up, because we haven't been able to have our typical goal setting.
Well, we didn't have one last year because of COVID, but we are going to have one this year. That's a given.
And I don't think it's just social media. We had residents actually come in. One was a cardiologist nurse that can't sleep, right? So I look at it, I go, what's more important, our residents, a nice place to live, or the bar, right? And for me, I think the residents take a priority. I like Q Bar. It's an amazing place, right? I've been there. I've had drinks there. I think it's great music. But when, a cardiologist comes in, a mom comes in, right? It's not social media. That's a resident got off their rear end. We're so fed up. They came in here and talked to us, a couple of them. So, I would say it's not social media. Sorry. It's on record.
Anything else? Tom?
I would just agree with Alderman Kenny. I think this makes more sense to be done in goal setting. We're not in a rush to do anything at this point. The music's over outside for the summer. Just if Q-Bar wanted to do music again next year, they're going to have to come to us and get permission. I don't know if our code is broke, I guess. I mean, if they were too loud and they got fined, it seems like it's working pretty well, like it's supposed to be working. Let's see how it goes, and let's talk about it in goal setting.
And I have no problem with that. But as I said, I think Brian made a good point. If it comes up at goal setting, and each of you has a copy of the current code, and you have some time to look at, we can raise questions as to what is working, what might not be working, where you might want to fine tune it, and that's fine. But again, my caution is, let's look at all the possibilities about how any change might have a negative impact. Mary?
Yeah, I have had a copy of the code, so I've been able to read through it. I have had, completely unrelated to businesses, repeated in the last 2 summers of residential complaints because of pool parties and whatnot, having nothing to do with, and so it was just an awareness for me to know what the code is, provide my residents with the knowledge of what the code is, what their rights are. So, I think it's just an education point before we, like you said, create more red tape. But if that is warranted, I'm all for having things go to committee for review. But let's educate ourselves first. We did tonight, Lester and I, in our admin finance committee with Mike Quorum was present, Mayor Marquez and Brian, and then the auditor came. We talked about, obviously the eagerness on our part to get goal setting back on, and that's already the intention in the plan. And this will give us an opportunity. I'm sure that'll probably be at the top of your list, Tom, when we get to say what are our priorities for goal setting. But let's get the ordinance in everyone's hands and the familiarity beforehand, so that we can, educate ourselves and know what we're dealing with.
And I think you really need to give some thought to any items that you think would have a long-term impact on the city. And goal setting helps us set the agenda when we create our budget for the next year.
I'll send something out next week, early next week.
Okay? All right. Department head information and questions. Any questions for Chief Thomas? I know we asked some earlier. Anything for the chief? Chief Thomas, I just wanted to let you know that last week I had an opportunity to MC the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference golf outing, and I had a lot of your fellow co-workers from Aurora who wanted to let me know that they said hello and that they were very happy that you're in such a great city like Darien.
It's a plug for Darien.
Any questions for Dan? Okay, if none, then Michael, Treasurer's Report, warrant number 212209.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening I'm requesting council's approval of warrant number 212209 in the amount of $336,372.92 from the listed funds. Payroll for the period ended August 26th in the amount of $272,391.34 for a total to be approved of $608,764.26.
Do I have a motion to approve? Alderwoman Sullivan, second by Alderman Belzak. Questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
Warrant's been approved, and I think you're going to give us the monthly report for
Yes,
July.
in your packet, you do have the 3 monthly reports for May, June, and July, and I'll just do the summary as of July 31st for the first quarter. This evening, as the mayor mentioned, we had our meeting reviewing the draft financial statements with the audit report, so these numbers are solid now as far as beginning balances, and the auditors will be coming and doing a presentation before the city council at the October 4th meeting, so you'll get a chance to go over that. But these are internal financial statements for the first 3 months. General fund reflects year-to-date revenue of $5,315,645, expenditures of $3,774,620 for a fund balance of $5,902,487. Water fund year-to-date revenue of $1,152,200, expenditures of $821,791, current balance of $3,933,371. Motor fuel tax fund year-to-date revenue $462,035, expenditures of $1,109,977 for a current balance of $718,381. Water depreciation fund year-to-date revenue of $571, expenditures of $49,967 for a current balance of $3,045,973, and a capital improvement fund year-to-date revenue of $118,268, expenditures of $625,957 for a current balance of $7,706,697.
Any questions for Mike? Thank you, Michael. Standing committee reports? Any of the aldermen? Alderwoman Sullivan?
Thank you, Mayor. As indicated earlier tonight, we did have an administrative finance committee meeting tonight. Our next one is scheduled for Monday, October 4th. At tonight's meeting, we did have our auditor in providing us with a preliminary report, and he will be coming in front of City Council on Monday, October 4th. And I just want to do a special shout out to our entire city staff for all their help in preparing the audit, providing the information and all the resources. Last year, they had an extra challenge of the entire report, the entire audit being done remote. This year, there was some in person, but it was done primarily remote, and that just adds on a lot more time and effort. And special thanks to Julie Sines for all her help, city staffer, in helping coordinate that. And the Economic Development Committee was canceled this past week, and will be back on October 7th at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you, Mary. Alderman Kenny?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The police committee meeting is next scheduled for Monday, September 20th at 6 p.m. across the parking lot in the police training room, pending agenda items.
Thank you. Alderman Belzak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next Municipal Services Committee meeting will be on Monday, September 27 at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you. That takes us to questions and comments agenda related. Does anyone have anything they'd like to present to the council at this time? We'll entertain those questions. Please come forward. And just state your name.
Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Wally Wright, and I'm the president of the Preserves of Waterfall Glen Townhome Association and a Darien resident for the past 44 years. You should be aware that our association board of directors has been very pleased with the professionalism of the city staff in working with us during the process of the proposed Darien Heights project. My second point, as the City Council considers final approval of the project, you should be aware that on behalf of the vast majority of our residents, we continue to oppose this project on the basis that the petitioner is seeking variances enabling it to become too dense and too big for the available space. Further, the developer's marketing plan places too much reliance on a demographic group of young mobile professionals who will be able to find more attractive rental options elsewhere. The project, adjacent to the road noise of I-55 and with no prospect of a noise well being built in the foreseeable future, this project will be severely hampered to become financially viable, and that is our sole concern. Finally, and for the record, at the May 3rd City Council meeting, there were a couple disappointing comments implied about our community. Those comments were just unfair. You'll note the objections to the project from the leaders of that community, of our community, focused on the points I made just a minute ago. The objections presented to our the objections presented by our community leaders had nothing to do with race or class. Our position, however, was reflective of the opinions of the vast majority of our residents. We have a very welcoming and diverse community. And again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wally. Anyone else? It takes us to old, oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Giuliano, do you have something you want to say? Oh, okay. Takes us to old business. There being none, takes us to the consent agenda. There being no consent agenda, takes us to new business. We have one item. Item A, consideration of a motion to approve an ordinance granting final PUD and final plat of consolidation approval for Darien Heights 2305 Sokol Court and 2345 South Frontage Road. Motion to approve. Alderman Kennedy, seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Discussion. Mary?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you again to the residents that have continued to stay engaged in this topic. Also to our city staff, who I know has taken extra efforts to answer questions, have meetings, go on site, get all the information they can to the residents and address their concerns. So I know we had a little conversation earlier when resident Tim talked about the retention pond and basin. I just want to make sure, I'm referencing a memo that was given to the Townhome Association by City Planner Jordan Yankee on August 18th, where he addressed some questions that they had. And I just want to make sure I'm clear on the stormwater and the ponds, and that obviously we had some very significant rains this summer that we hope, all of us hope, everywhere in Darien and all of Illinois, that doesn't happen again. But I guess I'm trying to make sure that what's the level of confidence that what will be developed will be able to the stormwater, the flow, the ponds, the impervious land, all that, all those buzzwords will be handled and be facilitated.
I'm fully confident, especially, and again, part of the reasoning from that is, if you recall back in the early 80s, when all the rain started really to come into the suburban areas, rural areas, that's when detention really started to kick in. DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance started to kick in the 80s. And today's detention requirements are so stringent that there will be less water that flows on sheet flow, on land in other words, than flows today.
Because the Darien Heights development is providing its own detention area, correct?
That is correct. They're actually sharing it with the condos, but due to the impervious I won't say expansion, but he needs to have additional detention, in which case he has to suffice for that by putting it on his property first.
Right, because when the areas were developed with the detention, it was counting for the future development of that Sokol Court area to be only 50% impervious. And this exceeds that?
It exceeds it, yes, slightly, yes.
Okay, so that's why this additional detention is being provided by Darien Heights Development.
That is correct.
And I guess just one other point of clarification. So what's being voted on tonight is the final PUD, correct? Because City Council, it's already gone through committee once for approval of the development. This is just to approve the final PUD.
Along with the plats. Correct.
Right, because all the other things have already been approved.
Dan, I'm sorry, could you, so again, just to clarify, tonight, the final plans, the council's voting that the final plans meet the preliminary approval,
That is
right?
correct.
Yes, okay.
Anyone else? Alderman Klista?
Thanks, Mayor. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I did have an opportunity this past week to stop by at Farmingdale Apartments that are in my ward. They're four-story apartment buildings, and they're at 96% capacity. Studio apartments stop at $1,100, going up to $2,200, $2,300. That's more than a mortgage. And so the concerns that were brought forward, I don't find, at least in my ward, are very valid. Someone mentioned that they come in and move out. I have the property manager, Sandy, mentioned she has residents from the 80s living in Farmingdale Apartments in my ward. Some people do not want to own, and then that's fine. And so I haven't had any issues, and so I'm fine with what it is. I mean, if you don't have this, you're going to get like a warehouse or a gas station there. I mean, that's just the reality of it, is being right there. And so I think this is the best addition we have for Darien.
Anyone else? Alderman Vaughn, Alderman McKinney?
No, I got nothing to say.
Alderman Shower, anything?
No, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
All right, if there's no more further questions, we have the roll.
Kenny,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
The motion has been approved. Takes us to questions, comments, announcements of a general nature. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share of a general nature with the council? Alderman Klista.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind residents we have Darien Dash coming up. It is a 1 mile race, so you can just walk. So I got my family members involved in that as well. So it's a great event. Been part of it for many years. So if you can come out Sunday morning support, it'd be greatly appreciated.
And I'd just like to reiterate that I'd like to see people come out this weekend. Again, I think the Friday ceremony where we're going to be honoring the lives of 7 people from Darien, Connecticut who passed away I think is a very nice tribute to those individuals, even though they weren't from our town, they're from our sister city. And there's one other thing I'd like to mention. I was asked to do a proclamation tonight for childhood cancer. September is normally Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I promised the people who made the request for the proclamation that I would remind the residents that September is indeed Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we should all give some thought to that. So thank you. Mary?
And just once again, piggybacking all the events that are centered around the 9/11 20-year anniversary this weekend, from the dash to the picnic to the parade. I have 3 children, 2 of which were born and were alive and recall what happened on 9/11. We all know where we were and what we were doing. And I have 1 child that wasn't. He came after that. And I think it's so, there's a lot of specials on TV, NBC, Netflix, because it is the 20-year anniversary. But here we have an opportunity in our own backyard to remember that day and be together and share stories. And I think we should try to take full advantage of doing that in person in our own community this weekend.
Thank you, Mary. If nothing else, a motion to adjourn. Alderman Kennedy, seconded by Alderman Belzak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned at 8:15. Thank you.
Thank you.